As soon as you wake up one day, there is a high probability that you will not be able to sleep again. When you discover that the Earth is not a sphere, but a flat, stationary surface with a dome over your head, everything will suddenly change for you. Those whom you used to trust, those who have always tried to impose a limited reality and understanding of the world around you, will lose your trust in an instant. Unreachable space and unreal planets, deep scars on our Earth, majestic giant trees confront everything you have been programmed with since early childhood. Those who learn to ask questions and seek answers for themselves, sooner or later will form the question, what really happened on Earth that everything has changed beyond recognition? Many people are not even confused and do not raise questions when they say the phrase heliocentric model of the world. And even in this phrase, they left a clue under the word model and no more. Some of you will ask, if the Earth is not a sphere, why would the government lie about the shape of the Earth? If the Earth is not a sphere, as we have been persuaded for the last century, then all these lies have a deep and elaborate meaning. The purpose of these lies is to keep humanity in a single paradigm that benefits the controlling elites. Look at it the other side. When you believe that you live on a spherical Earth that somehow rotates in an edgeless cosmos, it creates in you a sense of isolation, vulnerability, and dependence on those who know and understand the structure of the universe. You ask, who are these knowers? The answer is obvious. Scientific institutions, space agencies, governments, structures that have complete power over information about the world. With this illusion, they keep all the inhabitants of the Earth within a limited worldview. It is something like a mental cage, where any questions or doubts are perceived as nonsense or stupidity. Now imagine that the Earth is a huge flat space, perhaps surrounded by other undiscovered lands beyond the Antarctic barrier, which is actually a huge barrier, or in other words, a fence limiting our area. If ordinary people were to know that there are other territories that can be accessed, places that are not told to us and have been hidden for many years, it would open the way to new possibilities and freedom, calling into question all existing borders and restrictions, the political system, and the very nature of our reality. Concealing the truth about the shape of the Earth gives elites another important tool: resource management. When you all believe you live on a finite globe, it is easier for them to convince you and impose the idea of resource scarcity, climate change, economic crises, and the need for constant control. It is possible that there is no limit in our understanding of all resources, and elites control access to all abundance in an effort to limit the possibilities of each of us. In addition, the introduction of the theory of the spherical shape of the Earth allows us to control scientific thinking and restrain the development of alternative ideas and technologies. I believe that those who were born in the last century already realize that someone is clearly holding back the development of alternative energy sources and other technologies. Everything that was developed and discovered in the last century was bought out and hidden in a dark closet. And for the last few decades, our development has been stagnant. If people found out the truth, it could undermine the entire scientific paradigm by calling into question cosmology, physics, and many other sciences. This would lead many scientists and researchers to question the theories on which modern science is based. And this in turn would undermine the credibility of official scientific institutions. It turns out that maintaining the theory of the spherical shape of the Earth is a powerful tool of mind control, control of our fears and perception of reality. Those who believe the Earth is spherical are less inclined to doubt and explore alternative truths. This contributes to the hold of an imposed system and robs many of the ability to seek truth and explore the world beyond a limited area on their own. Now for some examples. Law of gases. The laws of famous scientists such as Boyle, Charles, and Avogadro describe how gases behave under different conditions of temperature, volume, and pressure. They imply that without a barrier, a gas in a high-pressure region will expand to fill the available volume, including a vacuum, until the pressure equalizes. According to this judgment, if there is no barrier between Earth and space, then the vacuum must absorb all the air available on Earth. Deviation from this pattern is anti-scientific, but we feel perfectly well that the air on the Earth still exists, and it is only due to the presence of the dome. Law of fluid equilibrium. Archimedes' law and interaction with confining surfaces. The law states that any fluid at rest tends to be uniformly distributed horizontally under pressure. The important word is horizontal. And is there a law that depicts water enveloping a flying and rotating ball in a vacuum? You can't find such a law, but there are theories for you. The theory of evolution, the theory of gravity, the Big Bang theory. But theory is not synonymous with the word fact. A law of physics that describes the change in the magnetic properties of materials as temperature changes. The Curie point is the temperature at which a ferromagnetic material changes from a ferromagnetic state, magnetic susceptibility, to a paramagnetic state. In other words, when the magnetic susceptibility is close to zero. For example, for iron, this temperature is 1043 degrees Celsius. In school, it is taught that the core of the Earth consists mainly of iron, the temperature of which can reach up to 5,000 degrees. In such a theory, for the core to be magnetic, the Curie point law must be abandoned. So let's not take your word for it. In the last century, some physicists conducted an experiment on air ionization, and as it turned out, the higher from the ground, the more ionization of the air. In other words, by increasing the distance from the Earth's surface by 1 meter, the voltage of atmospheric electricity increases by about 100 volts. This puzzled physicists, and as a result, they had to revise and adapt their theories to realities. If the Earth were a sphere, it should be the other way around. As you move away from the Earth, the voltage should be decreasing. But we're seeing the opposite effect. The answer is on the surface. We're in a toroidal field on a flat Earth. In fact, it is a static electric force between two electrically charged objects, that is, the Earth and the dome. Now, a little bit about our many favorite gravity. The term gravitation, if you go a little deeper, you will find out that it is also just a hypothesis and therefore not yet a scientific fact. How many of you have thought that electromagnetic attraction might be involved? Newton was given the hypothesis of gravity in 1666. Later, specially trained people understood that all the calculations lead to one big giant singularity, where the entire universe shrinks into nothingness. To get out of this impasse, specially trained people invented dark energy, a kind of anti-gravity. But to keep it all in the fictional universe, they again invent dark matter to hold gravitons and dark energy. But that's not all. Because the map of the flat Earth is stretched on a sphere, the northern regions had to be stretched and the southern regions compressed, and anyone following a compass would simply get lost in the distorted areas. To prevent this from happening, specially trained people had to come up with magnetic declination. For example, at the equator, the deviation will tend to zero, but the more distant to the poles, the deviation will reach 180 degrees, which is very strange for a round Earth. Just think that in a certain place in Antarctica, you will think that you are moving in the right direction, but it will turn out that you are moving in the opposite direction. Just looking at this situation, the brain generates questions and disbelief about what is even going on. Many inhabitants of the Earth do not want to understand all this in view of the presence of other life problems on their way, and preferred to believe on the word of those who lied to them all their lives from early childhood, remaining in slavery, stealing not only their money, but also the best years of life. The vast majority of individuals exhibit a proclivity for intellectual inertia and a reliance on external validation, processing information and forming beliefs primarily through the lens of social consensus and collective approval. We live in an era of technology and progress, yet the majority of people remain mired in dogmas and imposed myths. Nuclear weapons, artificially created viruses, economic crises, taxes, catastrophes, so-called global warming. All these are tools designed to instill fear, making it easier for elites to manipulate the masses. Meanwhile, humanity continues to exist under conditions of perpetual slavery, hatred, division, and the staggering cost of life on its own planet, paradoxically dreaming of conquering space and colonizing other worlds. How can we aim for the stars when we cannot even live in harmony on Earth? This absurdity is the ultimate testament to the collapse of our rationality. For true human freedom, true self-identification would signify the end of the oppressive system that is so advantageous to those at the top of this grotesque hierarchy. Thank you for watching this video to the end. Stay with us. It will be interesting.